Hi everyone, my name is Skye. I'm a raw vegan. Raw food saved my life. This is Kiko. She's raw, high raw, and the food saved her life. And we do the Ups and Downs podcast. Hey Kiko,
Hi, Skye. I'm so happy to be back again. How are you?
I'm good. I'm still in Queensland, but I love doing this. And this is a great topic. Anyone joining? We are talking on is being raw vegan a privilege? So do you want to open with this, Kiko? Because it was
Yeah,
your idea.
right. Yeah, I'm so excited to talk about this because yeah, last week I did the podcast in Japanese with Sachi, another
Oh,
Robbie.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so we did 2 weeks ago. Sachi shared her raw vegan, foods. We share on what we eat in a day, by sharing photos. And I last week's turn was mine, and I'm in a comfortable place, so I treat myself with some of the expensive mangoes and melons, and so I after that podcast, I got a comment saying that, oh wow, your raw vegan lifestyle is completely different. Like I can't do that, and I so it was interesting. And then I took yesterday I posted on my Instagram what I bought for the weekly grocery shopping, and which turned out to be about a little over 100 US dollar per week. That's for two people with my husband and I. So that would come up to be 450, about 500. Is it 500? Yeah, about $500. Yeah, about 500 US dollar per month for two people. That's not bad,
That's so cheap.
isn't
I
it?
know what people spend who are, and you're not going out. This is all your meals. You're not going out and buying,
Yeah,
coffees every day and your
right.
lunch. That's like nothing.
Yeah, and I'm actually shocked when people complain about fruits being expensive, because that yesterday's shopping was included with peaches and melons, and this was on the expensive side. I'll be buying some of the fruits during the day, during the week, but I'm just really shocked. Like, people continue saying that fruits are expensive here in Japan. It is not. I think you have to look at it.
Wow.
Right. So I think, Sky, you were mentioning how much you spent per week before, right? 'Cause you're doing different diet now, but before you were having more varieties. How much was it per week?
It was $400 a week for me in Australia, but please remember that I was in the middle of the raw vegan bundle and I was doing gourmet recipes every day. Plus, I juice. And I said, if you take away the juicing and you take away the fact that I do recipes for a living and make money from it, take away $200 straight there. And it would be about 200 easily. And that is not even getting in particularly in season fruits, if fruits are what you want to do. Kiko, I'm just bringing up now your reel. Let me see. As to here, is this what you were talking about? Let me just bring it up.
Sure.
Is this what you were talking about?
Yeah,
Your
that's
week? Yeah. So that's
so.
amazing. Before I will do talk on mine in a second, but that's incredible.
Yeah, so not all are organic, but maybe 80%. 80% greens and veggies are organic. Fruits are difficult to get organic here in Japan, so they're not organic. But I trust veggies here. Oh, bananas are organic.
Yum, I love organic bananas, though I'm allergic, so I try stay away. But
Yeah,
uh,
so the packaged one that was for my husband. He's vegan, but he's not 100% raw vegan. So I got them for my husband. But all of that, and then I had some more mushrooms and frozen fruits that are not on this table, and that would serve us well for a week. And yeah, that was 111 US dollar I calculated for two of us.
Wow. That's so cheap. And I would have thought Japan is one of the most expensive places.
Right.
So
So it used to be like in like 20, 30 years ago when we were going through bubbles. And people need to know, understand that fruits, we have two different kind of fruits. We have fruits that we eat and that fruits we gift. Japan is such a gift country. So we like to wrap like a melon in a very beautiful boxes, box after boxes, and that's for gifts. And that could cost like $100 or $200, but that's like a special occasion. I mean, what
that's
I
like
eat,
giving chocolates or a gift. So that's, yeah, I get that.
isn't it nicer? Right? I mean, it's instead of like highly processed one.
100%.
Yeah. So yeah, like melon like this size, it would cost like $4. So that's the that's the price that I used to pay in the States.
So a melon in Sydney is $4 Australian. So that's like $2 US. So or sometimes they go up to $6. That's like $3 US. So we're on pretty much a par.
Yeah, but I think what it is that we have to keep in mind as a whole, because you can't just look on one thing, because other veggies are much cheaper here in Japan than the rest of the world. So
Right.
yeah, I also wrote on this reel that buying is boarding. Buying is boarding. I don't know if you have that. Do you have that expression in Australia?
Yeah, that's exactly right. People can sit around and complain a lot about things. And my parents growing up used to say, use your feet, like walk. Like if you don't like something, don't sit there and complain about it, walk. But you're saying
Mm.
the same thing. You're voting by choosing what you do.
Yeah, and so each one of us can buy whatever, right? And I get kind of, I just wonder when people say that, oh wow, that's so expensive, Kiko. Then I'm thinking I would never comment on your Starbucks coffee. Oh my God, that's expensive. $5, $6, $7, and they go out every week. I mean, I don't like blaming or commenting on something. So I just keep it
Okay.
quiet.
Yeah, but that is something which is very triggering for somebody who spends, say, like you are spending $100. Is that for two people a week?
Hmm.
Yeah, $100 for two people a week to keep yourself out of the hospital system, not be a burden to the planet, not harm an animal. And you don't say anything about it, but defend yourself. And then you get on there and you have to listen to people who are like, oh, I've got to go for another surgery. I feel like crap today, and take their bad moods when they've spent excessive amounts of money on drinking, putting food in their body that doesn't serve them, yet you don't say anything. And I get there gets to a point where you're nudged and irritated enough because everyone's attacking you, when that's what it feels like, especially when you first go raw, because
Yeah.
you'll be so new and fresh to it, that and you see the benefits, and then you sit in that space of people
Mhm.
poisoning themselves and then constantly being in bad moods, complaining, and going on full tangents about their specialists, and they've got to do this visit and that visit. And then they go, and and then you'll hear them say something like, you're not getting enough protein, or you're like something negative, which is
Right.
coming off the back of that. And I really think that is another challenge. But this is why us raw vegans become superheroes, because we go through all of this. This is just part of it.
Yeah, definitely in the beginning, people like to attack on you because you're doing something different. I've been doing it for over 20 years, and they wouldn't comment in the same way as people used to in the beginning. People in the beginning, my friends used to say, "Oh my God, you're doing something so dangerous." Eating big size, bowl green salad. I'm eating just salad. I'm like, leave me alone. You're drinking alcohol and like a super dark, like a grilled chicken or beef or
Yeah.
whatever. Like I'm not commenting on your plate, so just leave me alone.
That's
Yeah.
what it comes down to, is it's like it feels like that when you do something different. But I was on a live last night, And people keep going, you're crazy, you're crazy. I'm like, you have to be crazy or you get the same results as everybody else. Like if
Mhm.
70% or 1 in 3 people end up losing their life after the age of 70 or something of cancer, is you are that person unless you do something different. And it's up to you if you decide to take that risk. That is on me. I don't want to be a percent. I don't fit into those boxes anymore. I don't eat or do what those people do. So my chances are I'm taking it on myself, right? Is I
Mhm.
don't want that's what I think is really important is how the world is structured. Everyone falls into those studies unless you do something a little crazy.
Yeah.
And we have to be the superhero, the crazy person, the different person, the confident person. And these are all new traits that you get when you become raw. So it's like the universe or source or God strengthening you even more, which is more of a gift.
Right. Yeah, I just want to say hello to Homestead.
Yes.
Jennifer is in the house as well. Uh,
Yes.
there's a huge salad and she was amazing. Yeah, you know, Jennifer is trying high raw, like she's shifting. I don't
Yes.
know. So that's so exciting.
It is. And Lewis is there. So, hey, Lewis.
Hi, Liz.
Um, yeah, but I actually have changed up my diet again.
Right.
Where,
So tell us how much,
yeah,
yeah, how much
it
you're.
is not much at all. And I feel like sometimes in Australia, things can be a little more expensive. So I would go because I was traveling up to Queensland, I didn't buy my weekly like stock of food. To be honest, I've been doing this hard. Like I've been dancing around what I'm doing, like this protocol, and I'm going to do a live on exactly what I'm doing. But if you want that, what I'm doing is just message me and I'll send it to you. I've danced around doing the higher omega-3s and juices and more greens, but I got stuck into this, say 3 weeks ago, 3, 4 weeks ago. Like that's all I'm doing. So then I probably ordered 1 week of food, but then after that, I just purchased it daily because I was coming up to Queensland. So there was about 4 or 5 days I would just go out and buy what I needed each day. For me to do this protocol is $12 a day. So I was buying some cauliflower, red cabbage, like 1 head of cauliflower. We have big red cabbages, so like you can get half a red cabbage. Sometimes a couple of mushrooms, chia and flaxseed I already had, but they're very cheap seeds. They're really cheap seeds because this is all I'm having. And that's my food. And that was only like $6 or $7. But what is the other half of that cost was buying a head of celery and a couple of cucumbers and maybe a green apple to do juicing. So I think it actually works out with the seeds and with the mushrooms added like 15 to $17 a day. If I add coconut water to that, which I haven't been doing as much up here in Queensland, yes, because it's more of a novelty. I'm on holidays, but they're an extra about $5 each. And I don't usually buy more than 1 or 2 at the moment because they're sweet. Up here in Queensland, they're not as sweet. I find sweet not working for me. So if you really want to push what I'm doing, like as in like get lots of juice and coconut water and be really stocked up, I reckon the maximum you could spend a day with all of that would be $30. But as I said, is most days I was walking up the street and spending anywhere from the vegetables vary, $12 to $15. Um, just getting the enough for a juice and the veggies and seeds. And I already had some apples, so that's not really included in that. But I was just having apples. I usually do apples or berries. So let's say we push that up to $20, $25 a day. What's that?
Mhm.
That's still to me, that's what, $20 a day, 7, 14, that's about $150 a week.
And that's
And
Australian dollar.
that's Australian dollars. So what's that in American? That's like 70 US dollars.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not like, that's with no coconut. Well, there's probably with a couple coconuts thrown in. But yeah, when I was doing like more juices during the day and more gourmet meals with lots of variety, is plus you're buying things and you're not exact, like, you buy more macadamias and you don't use them all up. So it's a little varied on how it is. But this was very specific. I was going up each day and spending about $15 per day just buying the veggies for the day. I already had a bag of green apples at home and the seeds. So
Mm-hmm.
hey Tessa.
Hi, Tessa.
Um, Yeah, so it's to do the protocol that I've like doing for myself right now, it's not that expensive. I think the other thing to note is when I wasn't as sensitive to fruits, because everyone does raw veganism differently. When I wasn't as sensitive to fruits, bananas are so cheap, even organic, and they're so filling. Is I
Mhm.
was buying like bananas and whatever fruit was in season, but as I got more sensitive, I got more limited, which got very expensive. Well, I thought more expensive, right?
Mhm.
But this is now doing like a more greens, veggies type approach is not that expensive. And I've heard Lisa say she didn't want to spend a lot of money on, and she didn't want to spend a lot of money when she lived in Canada because Canada obviously doesn't have a lot of, fruits. And that's why she got into more of the veggies and that works for her. So
Mhm.
there's different ways to do it.
Yeah, Jennifer has a question.
Let's put this up.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. I think being raw is a privilege, especially if you can purchase from farmers markets, organic and locally grown, plus time to chop, juice, or make smoothies. What do you think? I completely disagree because I spend so much less than even when I was really sick and on disability payments. Because even randomly, I'll order some takeaway, drop $50. I haven't, it's like one meal delivered and it's $50. And the other thing I want to say is, I was at rock bottom. I'd been, I could barely even function. You just stick the food in your mouth and it didn't matter. It was just a carrot or celery, but because it made me feel better, I knew it would get me up. So one day I could stand there and chop up a salad. Like it's like you've got to find the gateway to move more
Right.
forward.
Yeah.
I'm someone who prefaces here is when you start, don't think about dehydrators or blenders. If you've got
Mhm.
one and already used to it, that's your jam. If you start with like the chopping board and just food, because we
Mhm.
throw the baby out with the bathwater, is we think we I can't do that. I've got a juice, I've got smoothies. No, just eat the
Mhm.
food. Like, how much do you want this? So that was my way of seeing it. What do you think, Kiko?
I totally agree. I mean, so but once again, you can't look at it in just one part. How do you call it? Like when we look at the budget, we have to look at it as a whole.
Yeah.
So when I'm on raw vegan diet, I have super energy. Like I feel so good that I can do so much work. I can take up on a very demanding tour guide job during the high season. And if didn't have this energy, most people can't do it. I mean, most people would always question, like, Kiko, how do you do it? It's like, how can you stay all day long out with your clients? Like you are, you have to have undivided attention. And I'm taking my clients everywhere. And if I didn't have this health, I wouldn't be able to do it. And I know that if I stay on a cooked food, I wouldn't do this kind of job. So, yeah.
I think that is the most important thing here is when I started doing this is instead of just surviving, I knew that I could get to a place of afford organic. So I healed myself with non-organic, but knew there was so much energy force in it that I would be able to finally make some money. I could never make money. I was always on disability payments until I put the raw food in. And it got me to the next level, which was making a pretty salad. And then after I'd been doing that for a while, and I think I can't remember. Yeah, I did. I did. I had so much faith in myself. I was still on disabilities and I bought myself a funny little food processor. It blew, like the raw food destroyed it. And then for Christmas, my parents got me a blender. And that was such a blessing. But also, don't discredit what you learn from raw foods and yourself when you only have a knife and a chopping board. Like, you can really, like, it's a skill set, right? So me doing that, I can be anywhere and survive on raw because I taught myself that. And that's what you want is, and the other thing is just how much people drop. Like daily, most people spend $6 to $7 in Australia on one coffee, and they don't really ever have one. They have one with a toasted cheese. That's like $13 already into their day, and they've already probably woken up, had a coffee at home and some food that they've paid for. Then you'll find they'll buy like a muffin, or maybe they buy their lunch, and they're not, I don't know, everyone to their own, but it was the first time in my life where that food elevated me
Mm.
So
Yeah, I also another things like for me when I share about my grocery, like I sometimes I buy exotic fruits and they do cost a little more, and they just focus on that. But again, I don't for public transportation in Kyoto. I go everywhere by bicycles. That's like I have zero money spent. Again, coffee. I never buy coffee or bottled water or bottle whatever. Like there's like so convenience food, what we call in Japan. Like you can spend easily $2, $3, $4, $10 easily on a go. I always prepare my meal so that I don't just pay
yeah.
something uh,
And
without knowing.
the other thing is the activities. So when you eat a raw vegan lifestyle, I don't spend my free time at bars. Very few times do I go to the movies. Very few times do I need to go to a coffee shop. That's all money as well. I am at the beach or I go for a walk. I sold my car. I have so much energy. I walk everywhere. What's that? That's 30 grand right there. That's it. 30 grand. What's that going to get me through a couple of years of food? Like, so these are all things that you're saying too, Kiko, right? Where you're like, you don't need to catch a train. You're just bike riding everywhere. So there you're saving money there. So it's like we have to look at this as a whole. We can't just go into it as the foods. And it's also because the food cost goes up because your priority changes. You're not saving the money for the bar, the fancy restaurants, the cafes, the coffee. This is going on here. The movies, the clothes to cover your body. A lot of people are self-conscious and they're getting clothes to cover themselves versus just wear. Like I don't think about all. Did you just disappear, Kiko? It's like Kiko just disappeared. Anyway, yeah, we have.
The
I didn't
insects
know
are
all of a sudden you gone, and I'm like, oh my god, there's another thing raw foods can do: make people invisible.
no, the insects are singing so loud, so I have to
Uh,
close the windows. But Jennifer has an amazing question, and I think Skye has a great answer to that. The two,
uh,
I think it's a privilege also to be able to afford to make it a priority. And yes, depending on when you buy your foods and how much you pay for your foods. So okay, share your first week.
Also, sorry, just before I forget, this is also the amount I spent on private health insurance, $250 a month, gone. Haven't needed it, haven't used it, haven't been to a doctor except when I broke my foot, and that was just the local medical center. So there's no special, we're talking tens of thousands of dollars that I am personally saving. But so the priority shifts
Mm,
from, because people think it's expensive, but they're then not counting out. And when I healed myself, I stopped getting haircuts. I didn't get my hair dyed. I didn't buy makeup. I didn't buy shampoo and conditioner. I had like this rose. I bought this like just like apple cider vinegar and rosemary. It depends how badly you want to elevate yourself
mm,
to you. And I knew at the start that if I kept doing this, I mean, if I could stand up, I could eventually work and be less of a burden on this planet. So we're
right.
talking about putting Australia in debt. I was with, I was using government money and always in hospitals, and there's so many problems right there.
And
Addicted to
you were on the news.
psych. Yes, I was on the news. I had SES people, police trying to find me. My mental health was so bad. I was in the bush, lost for days. So now Australia doesn't have that problem. I'm right here and I'm helping, I'm bettering people. So we're talking, for me, tens of thousands of dollars a year are being saved by me doing this. And people
Mm,
need to think about that. But yes, definitely. But you don't have to do it a premium way. I choose to do it like a premium way because that's where my energy goes, because it gives the best me. And that's
right.
what we need to reframe from doing. Instead of being like, it's so expensive, it's like, I get to put the money here because I don't find any value in buying clothes or buying anything else. When I buy food, I get value. Like I get me.
Yeah, yeah. So Jennifer has a great question again.
Oh, is
The
there more?
no, this
No?
the one before.
Oh, I think that was before. Uh,
It's a privilege also to be able to afford to make it a priority. So I wanted to share again your first week just doing raw vegan by, by chance. Remember when you had no
Yeah,
one
no,
to.
so you got to buy the food anyway. So there was no, for me, I didn't even go and know that I was buying it as a raw vegan. I just didn't cook the food. And in truth, that week I saved money because I didn't eat the tofu, or I don't know, there was other things I didn't eat. So I actually saved money. But I think that's yeah, I think what Tess is saying is it's like a privilege is relative. Like when you get your health, it's like you start to learn where to spend your money. Before, I'm spending my money on doctors and health insurance, and as we've spoken about, the police service and SES workers, the government's having to spend money to keep me either in hospital or out of the bush, apparently. And so that is just so much less money. And you evolve. Like when you spend
Mhm.
money on yourself in a way which elevates you, I get to you get to give. So, but you can, I think what's really important is I didn't heal on organic food. I did realize when I started to feel good that it was the only thing I needed to worry about. As in, like, I spent money on rent. This is when I was like rock bottom, just got well, on disability payments. I spent money on rent. I had a phone connection, like a Wi Fi to pay for. And the other thing was food. And I think my disability payment all up, including everything, and I was on like the highest level because of an accumulative illness. Like my illness just kept getting worse and worse. So I think it was like $750 to $1,000 a fortnight. No, I think it was $1,000 a fortnight because my rent was $300 a week, $330 a week. Yeah, so it was just over with here. This is why this is what I'm thinking is my disability, and I'm in a high level for that, was 1,000, but I got rent assist on top of that. So it was like $600 a week. 330 of that went to rent. I think another amount went to, I had a car, so some of the money went to petrol, but I couldn't really drive it until I got up. So that wasn't much money. And then it wasn't much, like $20 or $30. The rest went on food. I was spending a fair amount on food at the start, but I knew its value. You know what I mean? Like it was the only thing I was spending money on. There was literally nothing else I spent money on.
Mhm.
So what's that? That's still the same, very similar to what I spend now. Well, back then it was probably like $50 every 3 days. That's
Mhm.
about what I spent at the start, which is similar to what I spend now.
Mhm.
But there's been periods I've spent massive amounts more, but I also, it's my job now. I
Mhm.
do make a lot of reels, and I am a coach, so I get clients from doing things like that. So it's different now. But yeah, so there's a little bit of my history. Like when you know it makes you feel good.
Yeah,
Um,
and I think in the beginning I was also pushing myself not to spend too much. Right now I'm very comfortable, and I know because I don't spend much on, I don't take public transportation. I rarely use my car. I'm very frugal. I haven't bought makeup. I mean, my makeup, I don't wear makeup. I don't have foundation because I'm allergic to it. Whatever I put on, like eyeshadow, that's like 15 years or 20 years old. Uh, Maybe that's
The
another whole issue.
fermented. You're putting on fermented
I,
foundation there.
yeah, maybe I shouldn't be putting on, but I mean, those are just minerals. So I mean, you shouldn't go back.
True.
But this clothes, maybe 20 years old. It's like I haven't bought a lot of things. Like if I have some holes, I would, sew. A lot of things I take from my parents, or like donation, because I don't really care so much. I care more about what I eat, so I'm very
Right.
happy spending money on sometimes exotic fruits. And again, buying is voting. I'm very conscious on whenever I buy something. I think maybe 100 times, except foods. I don't
Yes.
give, and I look at it. It looks so good. I just buy it. I don't even question. But other
Yeah.
than that, like okay, I just got my iPhone because my old one, I have been using it for 5 years, and then that was I bought it secondhand, and I'm saving a lot of money buying secondhand. I always use it until it completely dies. And it's, I mean, a lot of people who complains about my food, or who comment about how expensive my food is, they buy iPhones, new. Like they line up and buy
Yes.
new. That's so expensive. I get shocked. Like even computer, I don't buy it new. Everything is secondhand when it's when there is option.
So I will spend a large amount of time debating and procrastinating about my iPhone, which I literally film and run my business off. The back is all cracked and broken. I will sit and debate whether to buy that. I've been debating to buy an iPad and a new camera to help, because I'm constantly filming, like, and I can write it off through my business as well. That will take probably even over a year. Okay. I'm still debating about it. To drop $500 on food wouldn't be a problem, because I
Yeah.
know I will elevate myself. Even if it's like all fancy Coke, whatever it is I decide to buy, I don't think twice. I never have a problem with food. Everything else, I will literally debate, because I see it in food. Well, I could get that, but I could also buy like 2 watermelons, or I could get that, or I could in my consciousness could be food. And if it could be food, it creates energy force.
Yeah.
All this other stuff's dead. It's not alive. It's just there to help. And I actually don't get much value from anything other than I must say, when I do end up going and buying clothes and stuff, I end up feeling good, but then I let it lapse again. Like I used to be someone like anyone. I was online looking at different clothes, thinking these are going to better myself. The only thing which is actually equated to bettering me and actually yielded a result is the food. I think that's what my brain remembers, is all
Yeah.
these things my whole life. This doctor, that protocol, that book, none of it got me anywhere. So I've stopped really attributing value to everything except the only thing that gave me my life, which
Mm.
was nature and food. Nature's everywhere. I mean, I've
For
sat in
free.
yeah, for free. I've sat in gardens in hospitals. Like it's everywhere. Nobody can tell me it's not everywhere. And then the food. So my brain knows the power. So it's happy. It's like it's a no loss. Like
Mm.
I'll go buy 5 coconut waters and drink them across the day and not mind spending like $30. But if I have to buy a $30 top, I can debate it for weeks to the point where it's not there anymore.
Right. And 21st Century Homestead said, unfortunately, I have to buy organic
Oh,
because I always have a reaction, rashes, bumps, sucks so much. And, in a way, it's great, though, that she can only eat organic veggie, because going back to buying is boring. So, she or he is actually helping those organic farmers, and it's great for the planet as well. You know, we are supporting those farmers,
mm,
right? So I think
we are. The
it
other
would
thing
cost more. Yeah.
the other thing I'm in the midst of doing is, and I spoke about this in my live a couple of weeks ago, and I forgot how much value is in this, is when I created this eating this way, I knew I wouldn't stay raw unless I created a lifestyle versus a protocol. Like it's one, because you have to live something really different. So I've got everyone in my group at the moment, telling me what their hobbies are, because I want to make a list of all, because most of it's free, or it's cheaper and you can do it for free. Like people are even saying yoga. There's yoga on YouTube.
Mm,
Like you put on some music and dance. I love just free dancing,
yeah.
going to the beach, getting out in nature, meditating. That I want to make a list, because I think there's a big shift, not just from the foods we eat, but you have to match that. Bicycle riding, like you like doing,
Mhm.
um, all these things that people can do, which are free, which we used to spend money on, as in, like as I was saying earlier, we think we're getting value from spending money on things which were harming us, like going to like expensive restaurants and going indoors and doing all things where there's lots with so much value. So I think that's important too.
Yeah. I get scared when people here in Japan. I think I've shared with you that bento box here for lunch is like only a few bucks, and a few
Yeah.
bucks. I get scared, like what's inside. Like I think we each one of us deserve much better than that. Few bucks of bento box consists of white rice that's sprayed with some kind of non fungus spray. I forgot the name terms of it, but basically it can stay in this heat and humidity, and it would never go bad. And then the deep fried animal products, and that, like, I mean, yeah, I mean, wouldn't you deserve better to have more fresh fruits and veggies, and it's just a vicious cycle, like a negative spiral. When you eat things like this, you just feel so
Well,
heavy and bad.
you feel bad, so you've got to pep yourself up by buying expensive things. Like now I
Mhm,
need a diamond bracelet, and now I need a new hairstyle, and now I need aggravated and literally talk yourself into thinking you're not going to get the job the job you're going for unless you get a whole new suit, where
mhm,
if you put all the right foods in, you'll shine so bright somebody can't not want to hire you. That's
mhm,
the like what we're talking here. If you eat dead food, you think then dead things actually making you better.
yeah.
um, and the more raw you put in, you literally become like this life force
Mhm,
and go through life and create the life of your dreams. I do think the hardest part, though, of this is that you walk outdoors and everything tells you not to eat how you're eating. Eating this way is beautiful. The food's beautiful.
mhm,
The lifestyle's beautiful. The people are beautiful. And then you go outdoors and the sign you see is like eat a hamburger. Then you walk past someone drinking a coffee. Then you walk past, another person and you overhear them talking about the restaurant they went to. And then you smell the bread shop and you've only walked 15 meters down the road. Like that's overwhelming for anybody. And that's why people do, monkey see, monkey do. We see what others who look like us do, and we are supposed to do that. So the strength
mhm,
it takes, it needs this is what is I know myself is I would feel like I'm coming from a place of lack if I couldn't spoil myself in some way with some delicious raw foods in that I felt was delicious, because you kind of look at the world as if they're being really stimulated all the time. So that's what we're up against, people, is we're up against everybody around us doing something we can't do.
mhm. Yeah,
But
yeah.
we get more from it. Like we get lots out of it. They're all not feeling as great as us.
Yeah, there's so many ways to do raw vegan, and not a single raw vegans eat the same way. And
Yes.
we have to find this sustainable way. I like what, yeah, Sky, what you're doing on cabbage with
Yum.
gold flax seeds, with also just salt, right? Three ingredients. And you were eating, I saw you live, you were eating just like chips, and it's very crunchy. And that's a fabulous way to eat, kind of mimic the chips.
Yeah, I think we underestimate the power of salt that we have had control our brain for an extended period of our life. So I'm finding the minerals in salt, it's either sea salt, Himalayan salt, Celtic salt, it doesn't really matter, is literally healing my body so much. Getting them
Mm,
on minerals, and showed people on lives those bald patches I had. That one's just about completely gone. This is gone. So if you look at my old reels, I mean, my whole life's on getting wellies on there. You'll see I had all thinning all across here, but also these two patches here. They've completely filled in. Yes, the products I used helped, but my hair, I pulled it out. I was like, there's just so much of it. I'm not having the sea moss gel at the moment. I wanted to see how this works. Sorry, I put my microphone down. Um,
When
but
did you when did you quit taking CMOS?
I haven't had it for a month and a half. So the reason I'm going to put it back in, but the reason I haven't been using it is because I got to a stage where before I was doing like these high omega 3s with lower sodium and the green juice, is I was getting allergic to everything again, including repeating. I was bringing up in the back of my throat all day the CMOS gel. And once again, it's not that the CMOS gel is a problem, is my body was so inflamed. I have
Mhm,
allergic reactions. It's not the actual thing that's the problem. Unless you're born with a true allergy, like a true peanut allergy where you're allergic to a
mhm.
specific protein, it's more complex when you have mast cell activation syndrome. So I forgot what I was saying. What was I saying? I've got gone
Uh,
off here.
the sea salt, the
Oh,
salt.
yes. So the CMOS gel I let go of. And also the benefit of doing that is I'm actually seeing what is the bare minimum for a person to have to heal? Like, what is it that I'm actually using in my body? And it seems it is hydration. I can't do smoothies all day because it just aggravates my gut and perpetuates gut issues. So it's coconut water or green juice, and then it's these veggies, which when you first get them in, yes, they've got they're high in sulfur, so you will get gassy. But once that's all you've got in with small amounts of fruit, it doesn't seem your microbiome changes. It seems like the least reactive. But if you put salt on crunchy veggies, your brain thinks you're having like, I don't know, some of it's a bit soft. It's like having, salty popcorn at a movies, or it's like having salty crisps, or I don't know. It's so satisfying. I have no cravings. No, I've never been on this lifestyle not being tempted. I think that's where a lot of my recipes come from. But it's like I'm just having veggies with salt, and then as you need it, a little bit of fruit. If I have too much, my symptoms start to come back. It's interesting how quickly, when I don't have enough of the omega-3s, or I think, oh, I'll just have an extra matcha this afternoon, that the goal is, if there's room in my stomach and I'm missing my stomach, duodenum and top of intestines, get what you can of the omegas in there. I found that I didn't like the feeling of the flax oil, but I do use it when my gut is so bad I can't get, if I've let it lapse, because it kept making me better, and then I'd go back to pumpkin and walnut and macadamias, and then I'd get a massive mast cell flare, like huge histamine dump within 4 days, and then I'd have to have lots of oil for 2 days to calm it, the flax oil. But it's good to know, I think, the basics, which if anyone wants to just message me. But I've been doing lots of lives about this as well. It's like, it's really simple and satisfying, but I think it's a mineral thing.
Why don't you like the oil, the flax oil?
If you've been eating like extremely clean like I have, is when you put oil, my body becomes very aware when I have processed something that's processed. So for 2 years, I had nothing from a packet except the occasional raw nori sheet. And even when I would put that in, my system would be like clonk, clonk, clonk. Like it would not like, it's like this, it's like it slows, it's like a pulling I feel in my body. So you can feel the oil has stopped the effects, but it's like this pull that I feel. And essentially juice as well. Like, although I use juice, it's not the whole food. So I have to be careful. If I have too much, I can have a mast cell reaction. So I like to keep it at about 1.5 liters, max 2 liters of juice. And that's only celery, cucumber sweetened with a little bit of apple, or coconut water. Coconut water I can get more in. Once I start juicing something, my body is well aware that this is not the whole food and seems to react accordingly. But the hydration of that's great. I'll get water in. I have as much veggies until my gut's full. If I'm starting to bloat or swell, because it is fiber and it is more drying, but you find over time you're more hydrated, because getting the omega-3 fatty acids to build the cells in your body traps the water in the cells in a more regulative way. So a huge part of hydration is that sodium potassium channel, and magnesium is important. Calcium, all of the minerals are really important, electrolytes. But if you've got a great cell wall which is keeping the fluid in, that's hydration. You can have all the water in your body that you want, but if the water is in the cells, which was, I feel, happening for me, is I was consistently drinking and peeing out and feeling dehydrated, then dehydrated with salt, dehydrated with everything. So that's what happens as well, because it feels like it would be a very drying lifestyle with, like, having veggies and salt and ground up chia and flax, but in fact it's like the cells of your body. So do either of you practice intermittent fasting, or do you adjust your pattern throughout the week? Do you want to answer that, Kiko?
Yeah, I've done intermittent fasting, but because I don't take, just like Skye, I haven't taken any processed oil in a long time. Like even flaxseed oil, I don't take it. So I wasn't. For me, I need to be mindful to eat as much as possible. So intermittent fasting wasn't working. Intermittent fasting was working really well when I was eating like heavy foods, like oil, lots of nuts and seeds without any limitation. Then that I was getting some benefits from it. But I am low in. I don't take that much nuts nowadays. So yeah. And then do you adjust your pattern throughout the week? Yeah, I do. I try to listen to my body. I've shared on my live saying that I had skin flare ups recently, and I was so frustrated. So uh, I feel like whatever Skye is going, I'm going something similar along that line. So I'm eating a lot of purple cabbage, the green cabbage, broccoli. I put in my smoothies. So it depends on the day. I change. Similar, but I try to listen to my body and change. Yeah.
Yeah, so I feel like I've defaulted into intermittent fasting in some way. What I've noticed about doing this lifestyle is anytime the gut is pushed, I go backwards. And I don't have a stomach duodenum on top of intestine. So it's a way of like listen to how your body is, because the first few years I ate all day and then eventually my gut did not like that. So I usually get up and I have like a matcha and green juice. That's like my go-to. So I find the matcha really helps me, and I did a live on Friday about ADHD. It really helps me with focus, and it's long sustaining. Like it will literally help me all day. And then I also have some of the green juice we spoke about, and I will not eat until my body requires. A lot of the morning is spent of basically my bowels emptying, as in like my body won't get hungry until that's occurred. But I've noticed, and this might be TMI for too many people, but I've noticed that on this lifestyle, when I first started, is I would have bowel movements all day. Like you would eat and then that'd be a constant. Then I got to a stage just before I got shingles and I felt like I had gut issues, and then I had to juice, is where my body stopped going all day and it only goes when I wake up. And it goes a lot, but it only goes when I wake up. And so I'm running with that. And so when I wake up, the more hydration and juice, it's like the morning I just kind of keep going to the bathroom, and then all day I won't go. I don't know if that's a bad thing. Other people I think are the same, I've heard. But so that's like my morning. And then and I have a lot of calls in the morning. Like I'm usually on podcasts, and because a lot of my clients are overseas, I'm very busy. So I'm usually just having this hydration in the morning, which I say coconut, green juice, or water. And then I usually don't eat till about 11 a.m. or sometimes 1 p.m. And the veggies, although are low calories, they're covered in as much flax or chia as ground up as I can withstand. And in truth, I was saying to Kiko before I got on, I haven't lost a huge amount of weight. I am losing weight, but in a very regulative type of way. But my body composition is changing.
Mm.
I'm very happy with my physique now. When I was having more fruits, I just kept putting weight on around my stomach. It's like that diabetic type looking weight, or under the arm. I was getting like weight here. I was holding a lot of fluid on my legs, and the fluid's gone. My stomach, my waist is smaller. All this weight is going, and it felt like my boobs were kind of under my arms. It wasn't nice. And so, but it's not like, I find whenever I've done like mono fruits or something, you drop a lot of weight really quickly. Okay. And then when you come off it, you put the same problem back on, sometimes worse. This is very consistent. So I've gone off here. But so I'll eat as much as I feel comfortable doing. And then usually within an hour or two, once that's moved through a bit, I will eat again. I may snack on some green apple or berries or dragon fruit in between that, and then I'll have some more. And so the window, I can't just eat one big meal, is like I have to stop eating by 4 or 5. At the moment, if I go to bed and just have the veggies and salty veggies, I wake up very dehydrated. So I found last night having some coconut water at night, very refreshing, and I woke up feeling a lot more energized. When anyone that I work with, including myself, who's had some of their stomach, intestines, or bowel resected, has higher electrolyte issues. So having a lot of hydration helps. So anyone asking is, each day I usually eat between 11 and 5. And if I eat, and even before I went on this diet, if I was eating fruits late at night and slept on it, I literally woke up hungover. You couldn't really tell, besides you probably feel even worse if it was alcohol. It wasn't a nice feeling. But these meals are spread out. So it's like that first part where I'm letting my body, I guess you'd call it detox, or like, you know, yes, whatever has to come out is coming out with hydration. And then it's going through this pattern of eating again. And then I stop. And I don't know. I feel like I had some metabolic problems from doing so much sugar that my body's still struggling with, and maybe that's why I haven't dropped a huge amount of weight doing this, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I just have, yeah.
So you eat from 11 to 5, and your
Yes.
heaviest meal, what time do you eat?
None. So it's spread out. So I can't
Okay.
predict that. So sometimes I go straight in, but it will have to, I can't do fruit first. It has to be veggies first. And then I will want a little bit of fruit. It's like as little fruit as I can, but what I need. And then maybe the next meal, I might have 3 of those. Of just, however, it's like grabbing a bowl of veggies and just eating them, and then having a little bit of fruit, and then maybe 2 hours later having another little bowl of veggies, and then I might wait 3 hours and then another. It's usually about 2 or 3 bowls of like veggies. And I can't tell you, I have whatever I feel called to put on, but it's always half chia and half flax that's ground up. It's usually about 3 to 4 tablespoons of ground flax, and then as much salt as I like. If you do too much salt, if you're like me, you'll end up too tired. But I do salt, and then
Yeah, I didn't answer correctly, I guess. So when I was focusing on intermittent fasting, I was trying to eat within the 5 or 6 hours window. But then again, I've realized that I wasn't getting enough calories. So now I eat anywhere from 7 a.m. and I have to finish by 6 o'clock. But my heavy meal, I would like to finish by maybe 3 o'clock or so.
yeah,
And I don't like eating salty foods after 4, 5 o'clock. Like if I were to eat after 4 o'clock, it would be something like kiwis or some light fruits.
yeah.
Then yeah, and then like what if I were to eat watermelon after 4 or so, I would have to wake up during the night to go pee. So like
Right.
I'm adjusting as
So
well.
that's another thing I just want to bring up while you bring up the peeing. So I saw a Marcus and Cara video where, because I was getting all these symptoms doing high amounts of fruit, where I was excessive urination, excessive thirst, and I wasn't having any sodium. And he speaks about all the fogginess in the head, disorientation, but the urination one, like I couldn't get through a 40-minute Pilates class without feeling I needed to rush off and go to the bathroom. My whole world was consumed by going to the toilet. And he talks about how that's a signal of basically getting diabetes. And the more sodium I put in, the less, and this constant thirst, the less sugars I put in and the more sodium. It's like this problem's corrected itself. I'm never thirsty anymore. I have to consciously make an effort. Besides in the morning where I do my juicing, I will have to make a conscious effort now to drink fluid. I just feel like I'm in a lot of balance with my body, which I like.
Yeah, I think salt is so important. A lot of people didn't
Yeah.
salt, but there you have to get the good salt, like sea salt or Himalayan salt, or not a table salt. That's completely different. And here in Japan, we pay, we say that salt is so important, and there are like expensive salt that's free from like, yeah, how do you call it, like not pesticides, but from
Heavy metals?
right, heavy metals, or yeah, like you want to be conscious on what kind of salt you consume, and it's not that expensive. Yeah, you don't eat that much salt anyway. Even if you want to include a lot of salt, you're not going to consume so much salt during the day. Anyway, I mean, how much do you think you would eat? Like,
I think at the moment it is about a teaspoon a day. And that to me,
yeah.
I think I need to back off a bit. I think I was self-correcting something where I'd got an extreme, because I'd had blood tests. And like I was saying, like I noticed Marcus saying that this is like going into diabetes, is I had high resting blood sugars and low sodium levels. So I've stopped the sugar and I've increased the sodium, and I feel amazing. And I was always someone growing up who was a savory person, never sweet. Ever. I even put dessert at a table, never ate it. There was a
That's
novelty of,
amazing.
yeah.
That's
So
that's amazing because you have done the grapes juice fast for a long period of time. So yeah.
I feel like I got myself brainwashed a bit, and that's what I preach for people to listen and do what's right for their bodies is I feel like I got on this and I'm like, it's got to be fruit. It's got to be fruit. And then I'm like following people who are doing just fruit, just fruit. And I
Mm,
knew it wasn't serving me, but it's not just what I was seeing. It's also, I guess I do know that we are frugivores. So thinking that fruit's optimal, but the way the planet is, I don't think trees are giving out their nutrients to fruits
mm,
because there's not enough nutrients in the soil. So the fruits and the trees are just kind of hanging on. So we need a variety these days. And that's my lesson that I had to learn. But I make it a very good point to educate myself on everything that's raw, from seaweeds to fermented foods to sprouts to microgreens to vegetables to nuts to seeds to fruits. The more to recipes, the more I know superfoods like maca powder, spirulina. We're literally talking about every nutrient under the sun here that we can access. And I think that I'm very grateful for that. But at the moment, what I'm doing is not a forever diet. It's as I go along, my mast cell has completely stopped. While I'm doing this, it's the only time I have no mast cell activation symptoms. And once it continues to be well enough, this will be my base, but I will incorporate meals of what I need, but then
mm,
I'll probably go back to it. I'm assuming it'll be like, so anti-inflammatory that it'll be my base lifestyle. And then recipes will come in, as I need, or different fruits, more maybe sweeter fruits. I'm no good with sweet fruits right now.
mm. Yeah, and it's great that you're being so open to it, because I think if you don't mention about that flare-ups that you have been going through, like you can't tell. I mean, I watch you live closely, but I can't see of what you're going through, right? Sometimes you
True.
so that's why you inspire me to come out and share about my
Good.
skin up, because and that's one of the reasons that my motivation to stay fully raw vegan, because I don't want to mix up and to complicate too much of my diet. And cooked food is not bad. It's just that I want to keep it simple and make sure that I am, giving the simplest food and just nailing down what's causing some flare-ups.
Of course. And also when it comes to salt, out of all the flavor, let's call it a flavoring. It's more like minerals and electrolytes, but let's call it flavoring for a second. I noticed when I was raw, it was the last thing I let go of. So I let go of nuts and seeds. I let go of spices. Salt was the last, because when I had it, I still had that alive feeling. So there was something magical about eating the raw foods where I felt electric afterwards, like as if like I had just injected my body with this force field.
Mm,
And spices didn't do that, and I don't think nuts and seeds did it if I got rid of them, right? Because I got rid of things in the order that I felt they were pulling me back. And then I feel salt adds to that. It's like this alive crystal. But
mm,
that's just my interpretation. And Tessa said, would you say cucumbers are a fruit or a vegetable? And I will say here, 100%, well, they are fruits, but I have really steered away from zucchinis and um, cucumbers just because I could feel my body wanted like a huge amount of minerals at the moment. And when I eat those, I think of cucumbers as little hydration trunks. Like I think of fruit as like vitamins and hydration. I think of veggies and nuts and seeds as like minerals, these dense minerals. Um, and when you add it all together, you get all of it. We need hydration, we need minerals, and we need vitamins. But if like me, you've gone too far into the fruit where it's all hydration and you get carbohydrates from fruits,
mm.
not so much in cucumbers. But if you do one side of it too much and not enough veggies and nuts and seeds, eventually your body's going to come out of balance. And that's what I feel happened to me. But I've been doing high greens now for about a year and a half, and my body just can't go back to sweet fruit. I get really unwell.
So, okay, do you eat zucchini now, or
Not at the
you're?
moment. I'm like it's funny because those things used to irritate my gut more, because over time, as I get in the cauliflower and the broccolini, remember I've got no stomach here, and the purple cabbage and the mushrooms, what's in them seems to be correcting my gut. So, because a lot of people are like scared because it bloats you and the seeds bloat you, but what's in the seeds and the veggies will fix the bloating and protect you from the uptake of the food. Does that make sense? So, the actual at the start, everyone will bloat. you will like it's just inevitable because it's a tougher food, especially if you've been eating a lot of fruits and watery foods,
Yeah,
and
you
your
have
gut.
to go progressively. You can't eat. Yeah,
Yes,
no, you
you
have to
do.
go.
And if you, yeah, and if you get too bloated and sore, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Take a step back. You know, it's like this juggling. And I also want to do a live on, I believe you get something called like an adaptation syndrome, where people can call it keto flu, or because I believe I'm pretty much doing keto or detox, but it's like this adaptation. And I'm just making this word up here, but it's like over the weekend I could feel, as I'm like letting go of inflammation for the first time, I could feel fatigue, a few chills, but I kept going through, and I feel so steady. I feel so stable, and that is a really good thing. But there's like an adaptive, if that's what we can call it, syndrome, where you are going to have to like, whether it's like keto and detox, and I've been doing this for years and I've never had detox like this. I feel like when I've been doing just fruits, I've actually felt sick because I haven't been getting what I needed, but I've never felt detox bad nightmares, but it's like release. Now I feel really good. So
Great. Yeah. So your detox is the emotional detox, right?
being no physical as well. So, and I've never had detox. So I got here and I thought I had a flu. So I knew it wasn't because I had no cough. I had chills and shakes and I was really
All right.
fatigued.
Okay,
But I
that's
had no mast cell activation. But I also was going through, I've been through a lot emotionally, but it felt like
good.
stuff I'd never dealt with. As I said to you, I feel like when you constantly, I want this fruit and I want that fruit and I'm going to make this recipe, is you can sit in gluttony again. And I
Mm.
feel like I got myself into a situation where I had not released and kind of found what I needed, but I don't want to call it detox and I
Mhm.
don't want to call it keto. So I'm going to call it like an adjustment syndrome, where you will adjust
Oh, okay.
to what you're doing.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I feel like we all need to do that. Adjust by listening to your body, listening to your emotion. I don't know. I mean, for some people can might be okay, but I'm super sensitive to what I eat, so I feel like I'm always adjusting, and I think that's why this four seasonal uh respecting seasons are so important for me as well. Like what's available in my garden, what's available in the farmer's market. Yeah.
Sure. So this is the first time. So the reason I push through so much on what I'm doing now is not because I'm right and everyone else is wrong type thing, is that every other option, the door was closed. And that's really, if anyone's been on this journey, how we get so far along the raw foods is you turn around and all the other options aren't available. So I feel like most of the time, avocado got me through, as in like whether it was emotionally or anything came up, because it's high histamine, it was hindering, and I always had a swollen belly. Like it really, the histamines aren't good for me. So you let go of that, and of course that would have been blocking a lot, whether you call it whatever you want to call it, detox or
Mhm.
whatever. But a couple of times, like, I'm going to get an avocado, I'm going to get an avocado, like a junkie. But that wouldn't have helped. But in the past, it had helped. I had to let go of doing what I felt for what, because there was too many negatives around it. And that's how I've ended up, because then I keep thinking, is as long as I do this, I don't get mast cells. So it was my only way through. And that's how basically how my raw journey is kind of taken.
You have such a great attitudes though, because someone like you in the same position could be so negative and keep on complaining about it. But you just show up on live so often, and making that crunchy purple golden flax sea salt cracker that you're
That
eating.
making me hungry.
And I'm looking at your eating. It's like, oh, that looks so delicious. Like,
Good.
yeah.
Good. Also, the salt perpetuates and helps when you have the juice. You feel more hydrated. When you have any water or juice off the back of having sodium, sea salt, Himalayan salt, I always feel so hydrated, which I love too. So, but
Mhm.
thank you. I feel like if I sit in a space of negativity, eventually you talk yourself out of what you're doing. And then if not, you get yourself into a back to cook food and then to this, and then you're in a
Yes.
self-destructive pattern. So I always say to people, start with where you're at so you stay positive. Like, you've got to love where you're at, plus where you're at you learn tools, because you're not always going to be up higher on raw. You'll come back down and you already have the tools of how to stay there because you've taught yourself. And that's why I think people starting with a chopping board and knife and vegetable peeler. But look, if you already use a blender, I didn't even know how to cook when I started. Everyone had cooked for me, or hospitals gave me food, or I just ordered it. And then I got up and I had to learn. And I have that skill and I have that security that I can go anywhere in the world and know that you can get a chopping board and a knife if it's for salads. If not, you just eat the fruit. But let's say it's that, like, I've come up here with no blender, no juicer, just the little grinder, and I'm having the best time. So it doesn't have to be complex.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so I hope that this was helpful for people who thinks that this is for privileged people's diet, because we all have a different journey. When I started, I was going through a very, very simple, I was very also creative, speaking to farmers directly, maybe do some kind of swap service exchange so that I don't have to pay for my grocery. But then I realized that, I wasn't spending that much anyway. So, honor your journey. I hope that was helpful for everyone.
Yes, and thank you. Thanks everybody for joining. Thanks,
Thank
Kiko, and
you.
we'll see you next week. I'll be back next week.
Oh,
So
in Sydney.
I'll be back in Sydney next week. Yes. So, all
Oh,
right. Bye.
lovely. Bye. Bye, everyone. Thanks, Skye.
Bye.